Hundreds of years ago, a tiny group of Polynesians braved the monstrous sea and no GPS navigation to travel by. Why or how the people had left their home is an entire mystery. But we know where they went, Easter Island. And there they perhaps caused the mystery that makes this island a wonder of the world. They disappeared completely. We have all the mind-blowing facts about this island right here on Big Factz. Latest episode, Easter Island Mystery. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notifications button below for more videos like this. So our traveling Polynesians found a nice little uninhabited island with lush vegetation in the form of palm trees. Eventually, they would name this island what is, it's technically still named, Rapa Nui. Of course, it is now popularly known as Easter Island. On this fairway island, these people carved volcanic stone and huge statues to honor their ancestors. They moved mammoth blocks of stone, 14 tons in weight, without a crane or anything. The architecture at Rapa Nui is a mystery in and of itself, of course. Archaeological excavations of this island have revealed 3 cultural phases. The first, 150 years. The next, 600 years. And the final years, which we don't know is how long the final phase was. In the early years, smaller statues were made, but then they were destroyed between the earlier and the middle phase. Then the heavier and larger moai were built, which are the large statues this island is famous for. During the middle period, these places had burial chambers, and it is thought that moai were some important ancestors that guided death. The biggest statue found dated to the middle period is a whopping 32 feet, made of a single block. It weighs about 82 tons or around 75,000 kilograms. The late period, though, would be characterized by war, famine, and death. Also, general destruction. Statues were toppled and destroyed, but not with the intention of rebuilding. Many spear points have been found and dated to those last chaotic years. Island traditions claim that around 1680, after peaceful coexisting for many years, war broke out, and that 2 between the island's biggest groups, short ears, rebelled against long ears and burnt them to death on huge wooden pyres along a ditch in Puik. Before devastation, let us understand who these people came to be. According to historians, the island had a very strong class system. An ariki, or a high chief, would rule over all the workers and the people. There were 9 clans, and each had a respective leader. There was one superior leader over all of them, who was the descendant, firstborn of the legendary founding father, called Hotu Matua. However, no written or little oral history exists on the island, so it is possible to be certain. They had a real weird belief that the living had a symbiotic relationship with the dead, in which the dead provided basically everything that the living things could see, like water, land, food, and even health. The living would in turn provide the dead a better place in the spirit world. And so most of the settlements were located on the coast, and most moai were even erected along the coastline, watching over their descendants in the settlements, but turning their back on the spirit world at the sea. However, let us see how the population of Rapa Nui grew desperate enough to kill each other. Many trees had been cut down to make room for agriculture and fire. Now, one thing definitely happens in an area with no trees: erosion. The rain washed away any and all nutrient-rich top layers of the topsoil. Soon enough, Rapa Nui was barren. Nothing would grow, including food. No trees, just dry and coarse grass. People would turn to grass for their daily activities, and as any historian would know, burning grass equals desperation. As the trees disappeared and people began to starve, warfare broke out among the tribes. Historians state that Rapa Nui's environmental degradation as an ecocide, and state that the area should be a cautionary tale of humans whose appetite is insatiable. Some historians even suggested that cannibalism took place on Easter Island after the construction of the moai because of the extreme deforestation that killed an already dying ecosystem. Records show that at the time of the settlement, the island was home to people who relied upon the abundant trees, and possibly the largest trees on Earth for food. Of course, that gradually went away, so all they could see was the flesh of the people who they had killed in the tribe wars. But new findings by archaeologists may lead to a different narrative altogether. In 2000, students began excavations at Anakena, a white sandy beach on the island's northern shore. The researchers believed that Anakena would have been quite an attractive place for the Rapa Nui inhabitants. But once they got to the place, they found a lot of rat bones. Remember those? Underneath, they found soil that seemed absent of human contact and the point of the first human interaction they understood. And so samples from the dig were sent to the lab to date and see when the Polynesians had arrived. Everyone was expecting a date around 800 AD, but the actual date was around 1200 AD. This would mean that humans alone could not have destroyed the island in such a small time. So what else could it be? In the sands layers, the students had found a potential culprit: rats. Scientists have long realized that when students traveled from Polynesia to Rapa Nui, they brought rats with them. However, they got to Easter Island and found unlimited food supply in the lush palm trees and multiplied a lot. This was the new information. Under these conditions, it would not be unreasonable to assume that the rats would have reached a population of a few million within a couple of years. From there, time would take its toll. Rats felt the first impact as they ate all of the tree seeds. Of course, people cutting down acres of forest didn't help at all. Eventually, the degeneration of trees led to the rat downfall, and human downfall followed. With the death of humans, the island itself became isolated. These findings were kind of controversial in the archaeological world. Another expert accepted that a lot of rats came with the humans, but he isn't sure that they could have caused a whole island to lose the fertile soil. It just seemed unlikely even at first glance. He took core samples from many lake beds in the island, ones that were formed in volcanic craters. In these beds, he found charcoal, a lot of charcoal. This is evidence that people at Rapa Nui were really burning forest at a huge rate, faster than rats could gnaw them down. It doesn't take a scientist to realize that if you burn a field, it would be destroyed faster than if rats could chew them down. But the final blow came from the European explorers, who had brought them Western diseases, like syphilis, of which the natives had no idea how to cure. Here is how the European development took place. The first recorded contact with the island took place on the 5th of April in 1722, Easter Sunday, by Dutch navigator Jacob Roggeveen. Unfortunately, was accompanied by the diseases he had brought with him. So his holiday resulted in the death of about a dozen natives, including some prominent court members and even the wounding of many others. Do we even need to wonder why? Europeans used to roam the earth like they owned it at the time. The next foreign expedition came from Spain. On the 15th of November in 1770, two Spanish ships, huge ships, called San Lorenzo and Santa Rosalia, docked on the coastline. The captain was Don Felipe. He and the crew were all amazed at the standing idols, as they called the moai, so they might have been the first people to wonder at what these statues actually were. Of course, this expedition led to many great stories, which is why more Europeans would soon come. 4 years later, in 1774, British explorer James Cook visited this peculiar island that the statues that were reported by the previous expedition had fallen. Through his interpretation of the language, he made a claim that the statues commemorated their former chiefs and rulers as their names and dates were written. As soon as more Europeans came in, they started making detailed maps on the island in curious ways. They included more generalized versions of the island, but also some very specific and detailed illustrations. The island and its peoples were already in shambles when the explorers got there, but Europeans finished the destruction off. But how do we know that the island, in fact, had trees at all? Scientists ran investigations and found pollen was in abundance, but then dropped off dramatically. It tells us that deforestation at a particular site in Rapa Nui continued for some 200 years. But these were one of the first settlement sites. It would make sense to say that deforestation took place faster here as compared to the other areas. This volcanic crater, scientists believe, would have been one of the only sources of fresh water on the entire island. So war was imminent between tribes on the matter of water. Another reason for destruction. Like all unsolved mysteries, this one has a possibility of never being solved. Maybe all humans died of famine, caused by themselves or rats, or something more sinister could be at play. For now, at least, we don't know. It could be an invasive species of rodent, or humans devastated the environment, but Easter Island remains a cautionary tale for the world, and for us. What do you think happened to the people of Rapa Nui? Comment below, and we'll pin the best one. Like this video, and share it with everyone you know. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. This was Big Factz, electrifying your mind with mysteries. Tune in next time for more.